Welcome back, students. In this session, we look at two markers. Okay, one marker I've already discussed in the previous session. So I will discuss two markers in this session. Some two markers. We'll see. All right. Let's say the 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 question, the type of question that I can ask you is like, let's say, see, the first and foremost, you should know Euler's formula. Euler's formula. I'm not talking of Euler's identity, not the equation that I keep writing before I start my class. Not that. You know what's Euler's formula, right? Yeah, these are applicable to polyhedrons. Remember, I showed those models to you, tetrahedron. Then I showed you the different prisms and different pyramids. Yeah, pentagonal prism, pentagonal pyramid, octagonal prism, all that. So for all of that, you should know Euler. For 2 marks, I can ask you. When I say verify Euler's formula. Verify Euler's formula. So it can be for a pyramid or for a prism. You should know what it is. Pyramid means, I told you, it's very easy to understand it. Like a pyramid, like it will converge to point as an apex, as a peak. Okay. And then you have the base will be, it can be triangular or square or pentagonal, hexagonal or octagonal, and so on. So then you will have prism also, where the base and the top are parallel surfaces, and then you will be having rectangles as the lateral sides. So in pyramid, it will be triangles that you need to remember. Okay, whatever it is, the number of faces plus the number of vertices will be equal to edges plus 2. Okay, so you need to remember this. I made you write a table. So the table is very important. F plus V is equal to E plus 2. You must know for which all, when I say, for example, if I take a pentagonal, let's say I take a pentagonal prism. Yeah. When I take a pentagonal prism, what do I see? In a prism, you'll have how many vertices? 10, right? You just think of the prism. You see, you can draw a rough sketch. Not that you have to draw. When you draw, you get clarity because it's your thought process, no? So I have one more like this, and you're joining them by this, this rectangular parts, isn't it? So it's a 3D, you're showing 3D in a 2D form. It will be difficult, but if you are able to, if you're able to visualize, it's good. So obviously you'll be having how many vertices? You'll be having 10 vertices. Then how many phases? Now, if you see, the number of phases will be you will be having along the lateral sides, you'll be having 5 rectangles. So 5, then 6, 7. So 7 phases, right? Because one top phase and one bottom phase, and laterally 5. So it becomes 7. On the right hand side, I'm getting 10 plus 7, which is 17. What about the number of edges? How many edges do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So that will be here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And accordingly here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you'll have 5 plus 5, 10. Then along the lateral side, you'll have 5 edges. So that makes it 15. That means on the right hand side, I have 15 plus 2, which is again 17. See, so it is verified, isn't it? F plus V on the left hand side, V plus 2 on the right hand side. This is for a pentagonal prism. If it's a pyramid, you should be able to understand. If I give you a pyramid, what will it be? Pentagonal pyramid, for example. So if I ask you a pentagonal pyramid, how it will be different in case of a pyramid? So in a pyramid, how many sides will you have? How many how many lateral sides? See, when you come to the pyramid, yeah. So you have, let's draw it first so that you can visualize it. So you have the pyramid, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm telling you that we are going to make them meet the point. That's why the apex is a 6. Vertices is equal to 6. V is equal to 6. How many edges? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That means you have 10 edges, isn't it? So that means E is 10. Then how many phases? So you'll have one base phase and then 5 triangular phases. That means 5 plus 1 is 6. So number of phases is equal to 6. So what is F plus V? For the pentagonal pyramid, F plus V is 12. Then E plus 2 on the other side is 10 plus 2. E is 10, no, which is 12. So it's verified. F plus V is same as E plus 2. So you should First of all, you should know what is pentagon, hexagon. I already have given you a table long back when I did polygons chapter. Pentagon will have 5 sides. Quadrilateral will have 4 sides. Hexagon will have 6 sides. Heptagon, 7 sides. Octagon, 8 sides. Decagon, 10 sides. Nonagon. So this is all done in class. Okay. So I will not tell you that pentagon has 5 sides or hexagon has 6 sides. Octagon has 8 sides. You should know this terminology. I will just say verify Euler's formula for, let's say, this kind of a prism or this kind of a pyramid. So you should be able to answer. Okay. So let's move on. Next, I can ask you the diagonals of a rhombus. Okay, the diagonals, I can say the diagonals of a rhombus. I can give you two diagonals. Like I can say diagonals of a rhombus are, let's say D1 is, let's say 20 centimeters. Just an example. And the other diagonal, D2 will be equal to, let's say 16 centimeters. Justified, isn't it? In a rhombus, the diagonals are not equal in length, unlike a square. So you could also state like this: a square is a special diagonal, special rhombus where the diagonals are equal. See, now when I give you the diagonals of a rhombus and I ask you to find the area, the area is half into diagonal 1 into diagonal 2, isn't it? That will be half into what is D1, 20 into, I mean, it doesn't matter because multiplication is commutative, no? 16 into 20 or 20 to 16, whichever way. So half into D1 into D2. Be very careful. Sometimes students have written D1 into D2, like parallelogram, it's base into height, no? They've taken that way. So be very careful, students, because small things, but this happens. So even if you study well, sometimes oversight or carelessness that happens. So be very careful when you substitute the formula. So half into D1 and D2, 2 ones are 2 tens are 16 into 10 is 160, and units are very important, centimeter square. See why the units are important. I told you that, gave you that acronym, right? How you can convert meters to centimeters, centimeters to millimeters, and so on. So anything like, instead of centimeters, if you put meters or meters something else, it will go wrong. So you have to put the correct units and the prefix also. You should know that King Henry drinks delicious. This M is in the middle. Delicious chocolate milk. So I gave you this acronym, right? If it's kilometers, hectometers, decameters, decimeters, centimeters, and millimeters. So remember the word driving license. When you go towards the left, you will divide by 10 each time. Okay. So if I want to go from centimeters to meters, I will divide by 100, because from centimeters to meters, I'm seeing two jumps, one jump and then another jump. If I'm going from meters to kilometers, see one jump, two jump, three jumps. So centimeters to meters to kilometers, I'm seeing three jumps, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. So then if I'm going from meters to kilometers, remember, I have to go with divide by 3 jumps means 3 zeros. So 1 divided by 1 followed by 3 zeros means 1000. And remember the word Mr. MR. If I'm multiplying, that means I'm going towards the right. If I want to go from meters to, let's say, centimeters, I'm going from towards right, I'm going, isn't it? That means when I'm going towards right, I'll multiply by 100, because from meters to centimeters, there are two jumps. One jump, then two jump. So I'll have to multiply by 2 zeros will be the note. So into 100. If I want to go from meters to millimeters, I'll have to multiply by 1000, because one jump, two jump, three jump. So that's accordingly. This one, you should know the conversion. Not that I will ask you in this 2 markers, but you should know the conversion. And area is centimeter square. Perimeter, length, all this will be in centimeters. Okay. So it's only one dimensional. That also you should know. Then if the radius is given, you can find the circumference. The circumference is given, you can find the radius. If the circumference is given, you can find the area. If the area is given, you can find the circumference. So you should know the formula. So you will get a sum on, very straightforward sum, where I can give you like area is equal to something, find the radius, find the circumference. Or I can give you the circumference and I can ask you to find the radius, and I can ask you to find the area. Okay. Or I can give you radius itself, and then I can ask you to find the area, and you can have different possibilities, because for 4 markers you can get all this. Now remember, you should know the formula in relating to all of this. Area is pi into r square. Circumference is 2 pi r. So using this, you can, whichever is given, if circumference is given, you can find the radius. If your area is also given, you can find the radius, and that you can use to find the other of. So now remember, I always kept harping about this point pi. See, we just celebrated Pi Day, isn't it? That is March 14th. The decimal value of pi is 3.14, which you can use unless, but it's always good unless mentioned to use as 22 by 7. Why I want this number? I prefer, and mostly it's better to use this as a default values, because your radius can be a multiple of, let's say, 7 or a multiple of 11, because 22 is a multiple of 11, right? So where things can get cancelled out easily. So instead of dealing with decimals, it's always good to have something where things can get cancelled out. You might get more crisp and precise answers than 3.14 and decimal and rounding off to some two decimal places and all. So better use 22 by 7. Unless if in a question, if I state use 3.14 as the value of pi, then you have to go with that. Otherwise, use 22 by 7. Okay. I'll just give you an example for this. For example, I will ask you a question like, find the, let's say, radius and circumference of a circle whose area is 616 centimeters square. Okay, you have to find the radius and circumference. So area is given here. The question can be like this. Find the, you have been given the area, you have to find the radius and circumference. So what is the area? Pi r square, isn't it? Pi r square is 616 centimeters square. So what is pi? 22 by 7 into r square is equal to 616. So we can find out r square is 616. Of course, the 7 will go up and the 22 will come down. So now we'll see, we can make out, isn't it? There are multiples of 11. If you do test out divisibility, you would have known that 11 2s are 22, 11 5s are 55. Then again, I'll be getting, I'll just divide by this. 11 5s are 55. Okay, I'll be getting 56. Sorry, 66. So 11 6 are 66. 0, right? So the 1 minute. This is, let me just do the calculation. Yeah. So 11 56 are. So I get 56 into 7 upon 2. 2 ones are 2, 28s are. So r square is 28 into 7. So r square is 28 into 7. I just split this 28 as 4 into 7. Okay, and then the other 7, of course, I have here. So this is broken down. So I can write 4 is as 2 square into 7 square. So r square is 2 into 7, the whole square I can write. So r is 2 into 7, which is 14 centimeters. So r is 14 centimeters. So now I know r. I can find out the circumference. 2 into pi into r. So you see, using 22 by 7 saves me this, isn't it? I use 22 by 7 as pi. Nothing was mentioned in the question. Nothing is mentioned. If you take decimal, you will get something as a decimal. So avoid it unless specified. So you would have better to use 22 by 7. So 2 into 22 by 7 into 14. 7 ones are, 7 twos are, 6 twos are 44 twos are 88 centimeters, because it is circumference. I'm not giving the same number. Remember, something like this you should be prepared with. So where area is given, you have to find the radius and the circumference. Okay. All right. Next, let us go to probability. See, for probability, I have to do a coin sum for 2 markers, and you should know how to write the sample space, which is very important. Like I've told you, when it's a dice, single die which is thrown, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as sample space. When it is a coin, for a single coin, okay, probability. I'm moving on to probability. So for probability, what is it? Sample space is very important. The set of all possible outcomes. If it's a dice which is thrown, the sample space will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. If it's a coin, if it's one coin means the sample space will be heads or tails. Now, if it is 2 coins, if 2 coins are tossed, then the sample space will be head, 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 tail, tail, head, and tail, tail. So you'll have four possibilities, right? 4 outcomes. The count of S will be 4. Now, I can ask you a question. So sample space is very important. 2 markers sum, right? we will be testing your knowledge of sample space as well. I can ask you questions like find the probability of getting at least one head, exactly one tail. So you should know all this. Yes. Well, so if I say exactly two tails, getting exactly two tails. So what is the event? Two tails. There's only one possibility, no? There is only one event where you get two tails. So E is tail tail. N of E is 1. So probability of E is N of E upon N of S. N of E upon N of S. So that will be 1 upon 4. But if I ask you probability of getting, let's say, at least one tail, for example, at least one tail. Different possibilities I'm checking, okay? At least one tail means you should get one tail, okay? TT should be allowed. Even HT is allowed. HT is allowed. TH is allowed because one tail I should get. Doesn't matter, even TT is allowed. Why TT is allowed? Because okay, nobody told you not to get two tails. At least one tail you should have. So barring this HH option, all the other three options I can take, isn't it, from the sample space? So that means leave out HH. The other, in all the other cases, one tail is guaranteed. So the event will be two tails are also possible, one tail is also possible, or TH. So there are three here. So N of E is 3. So what is probability of E? The formula is N of E by N of S, isn't it? N of E by N of S. N of S, the denominator will be the sample space count, which is 4. There are 3 by 4. You can put it as 3 by 4 or 0.75, acceptable. Okay, but you can't get 4 by 3. Okay, be careful because it can't be improper fraction. So these things. So one thing is in probability sums, please write the sample space. So it's very important. You don't write long statements in English, not required here. Just write the sample space. So I know what you're talking about. Okay. So you should know this. So 2 and 2 coins are tossed. What is the sample space? And then events and respective probabilities. All right. Then I can give you the volume of a cube. Yeah. So the volume of a cube can be given to you. And using that, you should be able to find the surface area. Or let's say, I'll take a very simple example. Let's say volume is equal to, yes, this is very important, students. You should, I've always been telling this. You should know the cubes of the first 12 numbers. Now you'll understand this only when you come across these kind of sums where you can easily solve. Otherwise, you'll not know that this is the cube of which number. So you should know the cubes of the first 12 numbers. So just I'll give you this chart. 1 cube is 1, 2 cube it will be 8, 3 cube it will be 27, 4 cube it will be 64, 5 cube it will be 125, 6 cube it will be 216, 7 cube it will be 343, 8 cube it will be 512, 9 cube it will be 729, and 10 cube it will be 1000. Better to memorize. See, it's not that you have to, when you're using it often, you will be able to remember. 1000, 11 cube it is 1331, and 12 cube it is 1728. One short of Adi Ramanujan's number. Okay. So you should know all this. Better write it down, memorize it before your exam. You should be knowing by now, just in case. So if the volume is given, volume of a cube, volume is given, let's say, I'll just take one number like, I'll take the volume of a cube, that's a 260, for example. Volume is 216 centimeter cube, it will be. Units is centimeter cube. For area, it is centimeter square. Volume, it is centimeter cube. I'm asking you, find the surface area. So if the edge of the cube, is A, okay, A cube is 216. Now, if you look at the table, what is A cube? A cube is what? 6 cube, isn't it? A cube is 6 cube. Implies A is 6, what? Centimeters. If A is 6 centimeters, what is surface area? Surface area of a cube is 6 into A square. That is 6 into 6 into 6, which is again 216 centimeters square. We'll leave out 6 because in this case, numerically the volume and the surface area are the same. Let me take another example. Let's say the volume is 64. Volume is 64 centimeter cube. So if the edge of the cube is A, let A be cube edge. So just write minimal statement. We can understand that A cube is 64. Now remember, A little while ago, I discussed that a cube, a 64 is both a perfect square and a perfect cube. So a cube is what? 8 square, but 4 cube. So therefore, a is 4 centimeters. Once we know a, that is the length of each side, then 6a square is surface area. The surface area will be 6a square, that is 6 into 4 into 4. 6 fours are 24. 24 fours are what? 96 centimeters square. Be very careful with the units. That you need to remember. So, okay. So I'll just stop at this and we look more in the next upcoming session.